sharing your vulnerable feelings, many women think I'm saying, tell him your feelings about him. Like, I'm afraid, I'm disappointed, you didn't do this, you did. So that just registers to a man is, I'm not good enough. Well, you introduce him to what vulnerability is inside of a woman and sharing the hidden caverns inside of you with him that you don't share with anybody at work. See, think about when you were teenagers, you would share secrets with your girlfriends, and that made you best friends. Well, when you can share your secrets with him, that brings him closer to you. That helps him to bond. And what are your secrets are the feelings and emotions that you don't share with other people about those other people. See, it's like in situations like at work, the copier keeps breaking. You can't just say, oh, this copier breaking all the time. I'm so frustrated. Why doesn't Bill get on it? He never does what he says he's supposed to do. And then maybe one of your children is sick and I'm so disappointed, I couldn't do anything. I wasn't there. I really wish I could be there. There's a lot of other situations in your life that evoke emotions. Share those emotions with him so he doesn't have the opportunity to take it personally like he's failed you. It's like, how can I get my husband to listen to me? Don't talk about what you feel about him. Don't share, I feel so hurt. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. You didn't say this. I feel so hurt. That just pushes them away, even though in psychology, they're teaching everybody's first thing is put I feel in front of it. You can say anything. No, you can't just say anything. It's what I feel. I feel you're a bad person. Okay. Right. It's all person. I don't care what you feel. You just told me I'm a bad person. So I feel it's good for you to get in touch with what's going on inside of you. And when you get to the emotions, that's when you're producing estrogen. Whether they be positive emotions or negative emotions, you're producing estrogen. But when you can share a negative emotion with him and you're not trying to change him, that's where he'll hear you the most. And any intent to use negative emotion to change a man will push him away. If you use negative emotion just to share what's going on without the intent to change him, that's intimacy. But it's very, very advanced skill to share your vulnerable feelings about him with no intention to change him. It's kind of like, hey, you stepped on my foot. I got to tell you that hurts. Right, if he's stepping on my foot. There's always the bottom line of negative emotions is they are just reactions to get people to stop doing what they're doing. Okay, it's a change. You should change. So when you use negative emotions to change someone, your tendency to feel more negative emotions increases because they become a tool to get what you want. So you stop using negative emotions in the workplace, which women know it doesn't work. So you can easily not share negative emotions in the workplace, but they build up. And then when they come up, it tends to be projected, displaced onto your partner. So their mistakes have like a heavier rock that knocked you down. And so you have to break that tendency of sharing negative emotions to your partner to get closer. Instead, share negative emotions about other things in order to get closer with your partner. It's such a simple concept. And the reason I had to say this again is so many of my clients will hear this and then they'll go home. I share my feelings with him. What feelings? Well, he hurts me when he does not those feelings. And I know one day you want to be able to share everything with your partner, but it's called 1, 2, 3. Step 1 is first learn how to share your emotions that are not about him. Then he can feel closer to you. It's kind of like in dating when a woman's maybe complaining about other men. He can hear that. And the whole time he's thinking, yeah, I'm not that guy. Even that I don't recommend so much, but he might also think, oh, she's a high maintenance woman, run away. So be careful about sharing feelings about past relationships, but just sharing almost more surface things about your emotions, about life and other people and situations. That's very vulnerable. And then he learns, I can listen and I get closer and it makes her feel good. And what Lauren would teach also in the Understanding Men course is don't seek so much what's inside of him. It will come as you open up more. But if you're like feeling, and a lot of women feel, I need to penetrate into you. What's going on inside of you? And that's why these classes are so good. We can tell you what's going on inside of him. And sometimes nothing is going on inside of him. Right. The Harvard did a study on brain activity. They tell women to sit down at the end of the day on a couch and relax. That's all they said, just relax. and women's activity increased. And then they asked the men to do the same thing, and their activity subsided. Nothing was, what's going on? He said nothing, because nothing was really going on. We are built differently. Men have a break. We have our breaks. We accelerate, and then we break. At the end of the day, we're done. And that's not all men today. If you have a man who's an alcoholic, a drug addict, a depressed man, a man out of work, he's going to want to talk because he's on his female side. And so don't listen. Don't engage. Instead, you have to out-female him. You have to have more to talk about. So he gets into you, because when he goes into you, he's male going into you rather than him being female, and you kind of sympathizing and empathizing with this man who is at that time is like a child. You're like a mother empathizing with him, and that weakens him. If he's a little boy, it's different. If he's a grown man, he needs to be the one to empathize with you. That makes his masculinity increase. That makes your femininity increase, and bonding happens. So I hope I made the point.
Yeah. So just to recap, when you're sharing your emotions, you're practicing sharing your emotions. Your point is not sharing your emotions about your negative feelings or your disappointments about him, because that's gonna not open him up to connect with you. He's going to shut down. He's going to feel criticized, or he's going to feel less than, or like he's a big disappointment.
And there are times when it could work. It just generally doesn't. There's, and when I mentioned before about share with him the feelings, you've already told him about the marriage situation, and he's pointed his thing. He's given his point of view. He said, well, that's true. And what I really like is this. And if he doesn't take action, then you use emotions. Okay, you can use emotions. Sometimes men think it's not a big deal if there's no emotions with it. So that's a time where you're coming together, and you're not really blaming him so much because you've been talking about this, but you're going, it brings up inside of me so much insecurity. See how different that is as opposed to, I'm afraid you don't love me, as being mad at him in a sense. You don't love me. You don't care about me. Why did you do that? That's pushing at him. But there's a place where you can share feelings without pushing on him, because you've already been having this discussion, and basically you're saying, I have these insecurities inside, and marriage would help me so much. And when we don't get married, then what starts coming up is, I'm afraid, and I'm not good enough. I'm not beautiful enough. I'm getting more wrinkles. And I just feel that this could help so much. And then let it be there. So that's where you bring up. And so tears would come. If you're being real and you're in love with a guy and he's not marrying you, there's tears inside there. My dream is that we can be married, and it's not happening. If people are just going to see us as like we're dating or something, or what am I, your companion, and what, you'd have more money than me, so I'm with you if that's the case, or you're just, can't find somebody who really loves you. Because in our culture, there is what other people think. And I do care about what other people think. That's why I look at lists and I try to do the can, and we have resumes. It's important. And for a woman, her resume, for many women, is I have a man by my side and he is there. It's just feeling so proud of him, but also proud that you have this life. And people go, why are you getting married? Are you not getting married? And a man will always come back to, what do we care about other people? And you go, well, that's true. I mean, that's it. But there is a part of me that really, really likes it for everybody to know that I have a man who loves me so much he wants to marry me. And you made your point, and he has to hear it. You're not arguing, you're just making your point, and let it sit down, and bring it back again. And each time you bring it back, if you're really true to yourself, there'll be some tears. And part of me just feels like giving up. And my dream can't come true. And I would love that. See, there's beautiful feminine feeling that comes up if you let it come up. And so tears sometimes are very helpful and motivating and changing. Just don't use it all the time. That's your secret power as women, just to know that. But if it's used too much, it has no power. Did that come across okay, Michelle? Did that come across okay?
Yeah, I did. And what I love about this is I think what you're really doing, John, with your work and what you teach is helping to create a win-win scenario where both people get to get needs met and get to feel valued and get to feel love, and where we can really communicate and form connections. And one of the things I love about relationships and this work studying in work of in the area of relationships is there's always so many layers to this. You know, like I was saying, we've had so many conversations, and yet there's so many nuances and details, and the things we talked about today, a lot of new things.
You know, having conversations with you brings out more, Michelle. And this little piece you might do is a little short one, is how to get a man to share his feelings. Now, in that subject, what we have is a whole group of women going, I just want a man to share his feelings.
Yes.
He doesn't open up. All of those women, in my experience of 50 years doing this, those women are not very good at opening up. If a woman opens up and a man can feel successful in providing support for her, her need for him to open up becomes much less. Because at a deeper level, women want a man to open up because they're insecure. They're afraid. What's he thinking? Does he love me? Does he care? Where's the relationship? Is something upsetting him about me? I want to know what that is. And so something could be upsetting him about you. He's a little bummed or irritated. You're going to go and go, well, what is it you're feeling? And if a man has wisdom, he's not going to tell you, because whatever he says, he knows it's just going to disappear in the wind in 10 minutes. It's no big deal. It's not a big deal. Just give me some space. I'll handle it, minimize it, and come back to loving. Men can do that. We do it by saying it's no big deal. If we start talking about something and say, well, I didn't really like the way you said that the other day. Well, why didn't you like it? You'll immediately go into Terry, well, why didn't you like it? I didn't mean this. You shouldn't have felt that. And, don't you? And suddenly he knows we're going to be in a big argument. So why doesn't he open up? Because he doesn't need to. See, he can be bothered about something, and he can just forget it. He can rationalize it. Well, nobody's perfect. She's having a bad day. She's not that way all the time. I love her. Sex was great. Everything's fine. Okay. So men have their way of processing things. It's called analysis. It's not sharing what's inside. Now, sometimes we need to share what's inside. There's no doubt about it. And that's why sometimes men need that. But that's not their primary thing. The primary thing is to open their heart by analyzing a situation, recognizing I'm accountable, I'm making a big deal about this, I have unrealistic expectations. And this is a man who has any sort of self-esteem and confidence can do this. A man who doesn't, he's going to be upset, and you don't have to ask him to open up. He's already going to tell you what he's mad about. He's going to be upset. And every time he talks, when he's upset, he will become more upset. Once he's put his word out there, he now has to defend it. If he doesn't have to defend it, he can process it and let it go. We have this whole idea that men misbehave and men are not good because they're not in touch with their feelings and they didn't cry enough as children. Okay, now let's just put this in its category. Yes, if you shame a little boy when he cries, it's going to have a negative effect on him, without a doubt. It's a minor effect, The reason men who can't feel, who are dysfunctional, I've taught in San Quentin prison, these guys do not know what they're feeling at all. They can act on anger, they can act on fear, they have fight or flight reaction, but they don't know what they're feeling inside, and their hearts are not open. They don't feel compassion or empathy. That's a great extent. Criminal behavior comes from the inability to feel empathy. And everybody in psychology and poor boys, they didn't get to cry, and that's why they're so shut down and can't feel empathy. No, that's not the reason. The reason is their mother was unhappy and their father was unhappy. They were not loving parents to each other. What a child needs is to feel his mother's love. How can a mother be loving when she's mad at his father? You hate my father. How can I feel loved by you? So it's a part of him is canceled out. It's when women don't love men and men don't love women, then children have all this conflict inside of them. It's too painful, and so they shut down and they can't feel. It's not that somebody didn't therapy. Somebody says, oh, what are you feeling? What are you feeling? It's basically they're deficient in love. They're deficient in security. They're deficient in encouragement. All the qualities of love are completely deficient when parents can't give that love to each other. So and people want to, oh, poor boy, he couldn't cry. We need to get men in touch with their feelings. There's no question. That's important that men can connect with their feelings, particularly their feelings of love, okay? Their feelings of empathy for others. But if a boy doesn't have a father feeling empathy for his mother, how can he feel empathy for his mother? And if a mother is using a little boy as her source of love rather than a man, the little boy is going to shut down. It's too much pressure to be dad, husband to my mother. It's that the mother shouldn't be so needy to the child. The unhappy mother who's loving to the child is just giving the message, your father's not enough, I need your love. And that's the wrong message. That puts pressure on that boy. He can't connect with females. And so it's the dynamics of parenthood and childhood that create the problems, the dysfunctional problems in men. It's not that men could open up and express their feelings. The problem for females is why they're overly picky, dissatisfied, overwhelmed, judgmental, critical. Not that all women are, and they are to some degree, we all are. But when it's a problem, which is dysfunctional, you can't stay married, you can't think no guy's good enough for you and whatever. That's too much pickiness. You're not coming from a place of love, which embraces people as they are, appreciates what is available, trusts what is possible, whether you're feeling trust within yourself. So the problem for female is they didn't get the safety to express their feelings. That's one part of it. They also didn't get a father to support them, a mother who was happy. There's so many needs that we have in childhood. If I summarize it, it's in my book, Children Are From Heaven, the primary needs, also another simple book I wrote, What You Feel, You Can Heal. Your basic needs for the child inside, and we all have a child inside, but for a little girl or a little boy, what are their basic needs? Their basic needs, it's okay to be different. Don't compare me with other people. Don't judge me, I'm not enough. That's comparing. You love a person for who they are. First one, don't have to be like everybody else. Two, it's okay to want more. We're constantly being judged for wanting what we want. I mean, you can't have it always, but you have to learn to want more and not get it right away. And then if you don't get it right away, you're upset. And if you get upset, it's okay to be upset. And then a parent needs to know how to empathize with that child's upset. So that is an important need. That's a boy can be upset about somebody and somebody says, okay, well, what's bothering you? And he can talk a little bit about it. He doesn't have to do therapy, but it's okay to have negative feelings. Being judged for it. And then it's okay to have feelings, okay to want more. It's okay to make mistakes. A huge need that we all have is forgiveness and acceptance and punishment and judgmentalness. And you're a bad child. You should suffer because of that. And it also, we need boundaries, which is it's okay to be upset, but you're still going to do it. I'm the boss. Okay. Children have to have clear boundaries around them. So much. And then on top of that, that's our basic needs that we can give to our own self when we grow up. But beyond that is that there's safety around me, that mother feels safe. Dad is providing. Husband and wife are there together. I've written a whole book here with Warren Farrell called The Boy Crisis. And we just go statistics all the way down, all these increasing troubles that our children are having, statistical studies showing it. Boys have problems, girls have problems. This book is mainly about boys, but the techniques in the book are about for boys and girls. But the problems for boys, we don't realize it, that 2 girls to 1 boy graduates from college. Mm-hmm. This is dropout. Males are dropping out. They're losing their motivation. They're losing their self-esteem. Addictions and violence is dramatically higher in boys than in girls. Depression, inability to get married, lack of happiness is the major issue for females. Okay, their relationships with men are zero. Okay, they don't have that happiness and joy that ultimately a relationship can bring you at various times. You're not always every day is holiday, but there's a richness of maturity. If your parents don't have it, you don't have it, and it's very hard to get there. You don't know how to get there. It's not present for you. So girls, if you have no father, how can you trust a man? Your father's not there. Okay. We have 52% of children in America this year do not have a father at home. Now, what happens when you don't have a father at home? It means that mom's doing everything herself. She's overwhelmed. I can't imagine. I can't even imagine doing what women do today. Having to earn a living and take care of my children and take care of their health and their food and the house, all these things. There's one woman on The View, very funny moment where they're talking about relationships. She says, I have the perfect relationship. I said, what is it? What is it? Well, I have to get up at 4:00 every day to come do this show. But I come home, my husband is taking care of the kids. We've got 3 kids. He's taking care of the kids. The house is beautiful. He's cooked. I don't have to worry about any of that. I have the perfect wife. Now, like, wow, you're like so lucky. You're so lucky that she has the perfect wife. And then they say, and what's the sex like? And she goes, after child number 3, we haven't had sex in years.
Oh, and now,
Of course, they don't have sex in years. You can't be orgasmic as a woman if you're stressed out, period. It's not that way. It doesn't work. And to try to do all this and that's just a woman working all the time. She's not having sex. You look at imagine a woman working and trying to raise her children and not even having a husband to do all the things at home for her, like in that case. She's massively stressful. We've created this world. It's crazy. There was wisdom in the past where we had a partnership, which men did difficult, dangerous outside. Women did then that which is nurturing and supportive inside, and we respect each other and loved each other. Well, we don't have that anymore. Now, I don't think we should. People have a choice, of course, whatever they want. My belief is that women can go to their male side. It's too confining for many women's souls to just be feminine. They want to be powerful. They want to change the world. This is out of a break free. That's great. We have a culture that says you can break free. We don't have a culture that helps her realize, how do I come back to that warm feeling of safety and security, and I don't have to do everything feeling? If every woman just looks, if you're not in a happy marriage, there's this feeling that comes up inside which says, I have to do everything, and I don't want to. I have to do everything. No, you don't have to do everything. You've set up your life so that you have to do everything. We have a culture that promotes women being so far on their male side that they will be on their male side, which for a woman on her male side comes out with, I have to do everything. Mm-hmm. For a man, if I could do everything, I'd be proud of it. Hey, I can do everything. But what men will do, they do what they can do, and then they have a break. They said, okay, now stop, take care of myself. What is it I need? And women don't have that automatic break. And now men are losing it because we've been so feminized. So coming back to trying to, get a man to open up. A woman says, I want him to open up. How do you get him to open up? You start showing him how you open up. See, that's so easy to do. If you just understand, men don't know how to listen, and you have to teach them. You just have to tell somebody he doesn't need to open up. He can process other things. He's fine. The illusion is that men have to talk about their feelings to feel better. That's an illusion. We don't have to. We can, just like we can drink beer and take drugs and masturbate and do crazy stuff to feel better, but it's not good for you. For men, what's good is to be accountable. If I have negative emotions inside, analyze them and minimize them, rationally look at them and let go of them and come back to love. See, when you're accountable, if something happens to you, you don't hate the other person. You go, okay, what did I do wrong? Now I got to fix it. And now I can make it better. That's one way of looking at the world. That's the extreme male side. And we are all a blend of both. But whenever a man is lost, he needs to come back to his male side of 100% accountability. Look at what I did. Certainly you did something wrong, but what did I do so that you could do something wrong? And let me find a solution to that, which is heartfelt. Now, many men find solutions, but they're not heartfelt. Why? Because they didn't feel their mothers were happy. See, when your mother is not happy, a little boy feels, I did something wrong. The pressure is on him. When the mother is happy, a little boy feels like, I'm successful. Look, my mom's happy. I don't have to fix her, do anything for her. I can do it freely. He wants to make mommy happy. But imagine I want to make somebody happy and they're not happy. Mm-hmm. You feel like a failure all over. Your self-esteem crashes as a male. And that's why men leave wives, why men divorce. It's always men will feel, no matter what I do, it's never enough to make her happy. And why do women leave men? Because I do so much and he doesn't do for me. I give him my heart. He ignores me. I give him this. He ignores me. He's not there for me. So see how different it is? It's she's feeling I get, but I don't get. He's feeling I do, and it's never successful. That little boy feels the same thing. I'm trying to make mommy happy, and mommy's not happy. Mommy needs to go find a man and date a man. If she gets a divorce, she needs to find love from a man. If you've got boys, and if you got a little girl, same thing. She needs to feel that I can depend on a man. If mom can't depend on a man, how can I depend on a man? See, these are things that go into us as children. So there's research just showing that, like after a divorce, women are 8 times more likely to criticize the ex in front of the child than a husband does for his wife and all these big
Like
studies, everything.
8 times more.
8 times more. Well, your father doesn't do this. He didn't do that. Well, we're poor. He has all that money, or he didn't give his checks. There are probably legitimate complaints and many times overreactions, which many of our complaints are. That message to the child creates a split personality inside. Very confusing to a male. I want my mother to be happy, so daddy's wrong, but I'm a male. That makes me wrong. I'm confused, which is good. My male side, it's very, very difficult for children. If people understood all the research we've seen with children of divorced parents, and of course, so many children have grown up with divorced parents. It's very common today. But what is also common today is massive amounts of depression and dissatisfaction in life and addiction and sleeplessness and health problems from that. So we have to realize divorce is a major cause of all of this. And it doesn't mean you have to stay in a bad relationship. It means that if you divorce, you still have to work on the relationship so your children are not damaged by it. And sometimes it's easier to work on a relationship with an ex than be together. That is true. Sometimes your skills are not good enough. So at a distance, you don't depend on your partner so much. Therefore, your feelings don't get hurt so much. You know, if you get closer and closer to someone, we just naturally depend on them more and more. You know, if you lean on someone, it becomes easy to lean on someone. And then when they're not there, your feelings get hurt. And when your feelings get hurt, we have to realize now I need to come back to, I can make myself happy right now without depending on them. It's just caring and depending too much. So back to how to get a man to open up. Stop trying to get him to open up. And that's in our class, Understanding Men. The more you ask men what they feel, the more they're going to either go too far to their female side and not be interested in you, or they're going to reject you as if you're pushing into them and you're being needy with them and whatever. And it's just a fun story. I remember one of my buddies who's divorced now, but an unhappy marriage. And we go to the movies every week for 50 years now. Oh, this was like 30 years ago. And a buddy, you know, guys, friends forever. Don't see you for 5 years. See you. We're friends again. You know, it's not like, but somehow we keep finding each other and living in the same cities and we're buddies. So we go to the movies approximately every week, guy time. So we go see an action movie. And before that, we talk a little bit. Sometimes we'll talk a little bit after the movie or whatever and say goodbye. And he was complaining about his wife. She said, she always saying, you never talk. And he says, we've been married 10 years. What's there to talk about? What do you need to talk so much for? Don't need to talk. And I listened to that and I said, yeah, that's really interesting. But when we get together, we always talk. And just, yeah, why is that? Because I don't care if you talk. I talk. I know when it's going to the movies. Guys will tend to talk and connect after they're doing something. See, they maybe play a game of tennis and drink something, casually drink, whatever. You know, you go to the bar, funny at a bar, you're not looking at the person, you're looking forward, you know, you're talking, maybe you got a TV screen up there watching a game while you're talking. It's easier for men. It allows them to stay on their male side while they're connecting to their female side. You know, when you just look at somebody, you go too far to your female side if you're a man, and then you have nothing to say. You want to come back to who you are. You're masculine, but you have a female side. So if you want a man to open up, give up trying to get him to open up and realize, why do you need him to open up? You're feeling insecure. You will feel more secure if you start talking and sharing what you have to say. And then women have an obstacle to that because they're afraid he'll think he won't be interested in what she's saying. And he may not be. That's quite often the truth. Well, we'll make him interested in what you have to say. I promise you this, if you bring some emotion into it and you talk about something that is different from him, that he doesn't have to take responsibility for. Just something happened today at work, or I saw this on TV, or I can't believe the politics of so-and-so, and they did this and this and this. Whatever it is, share what you think, share what you feel. You can always say to him, well, what do you think about that? He says, that's okay. Don't push further. Don't use the phrase, how do you feel about that? That's going to make him constipated. I was once doing an Oprah show, and the woman was complaining, and this is when Oprah was trying to be a therapist, and he says, well, how do you feel about that, to the guy? And he's like, he couldn't talk. I said, Oprah, just ask him, what does he think about that? And boom, the guy's got all these opinions about everything. But is not always the go-to for a man. You don't want it to be. What do you think about that? And then don't argue with him, of course. Just hear what he says and appreciate what the logic of it. Well, that makes sense. That's a good idea. Move on if you disagree. Not a big deal. So you basically don't try to man to be your girlfriend, and you will lose attraction for him if he goes there. And many men become your girlfriend. This is called the friend zone. They always lose the woman's attraction is when they start talking about their feelings and they're complaining and this happened. I don't know what to do. No, if you want to talk about that, go to a guy to talk. And you know what these guys will say? They'll say, no, guys don't want to listen to that. Yeah, you're being too female. You're a guy. Be a guy. Suck it up. What do I do? Then in that case, you're too far on your female side. You journal those feelings or you go talk to a therapist and you share with that therapist. That's okay. Or go get a woman therapist. She'll love to hear all that stuff from you and realize that's your mother relationship, okay? You're not going to have a sexual relationship with her, so that's fine. You can be like a little boy and share what you need to say to your mother or share what you're feeling inside. But ultimately, coming back to masculinity is solving problems. What do you think? Having thoughts, having opinions, having goals, achieving goals, and sharing feelings is not necessarily that important unless you're very grounded in your masculine side. You don't need to share feelings, and then at times you do, but you're not coming from a negative place, okay? You're coming to share what's going on, and you're not sharing fears and anxieties and depression and disappointment. I feel so bad. You can, if you do, what I look at is like when it doesn't lower you down, you can say things like, it's really hard, it's really difficult, it's challenging for me, but it should be like 1/10 the negativity of the positivity that comes out of you. Women need to feel a man is anchored and he can handle stuff. And that's what makes you attracted to her, and that makes you feel good. What men don't know is that every time you verbalize and you're in an intimate relationship, a negative feeling, your estrogen goes way up and that makes you weaker. See, this is a hormonal balance inside of men. Your testosterone always needs to be higher than your estrogen. There's easy science on this. Go anywhere. What is a man's healthy testosterone levels? It's 10 times higher than a woman's. What is a woman's healthy estrogen levels? 10 times higher than a man's. What is a woman's estrogen levels when she's having an orgasm? 20 times higher than a man's. Okay, so we just a simple little conclusion. I just applied just that even to what I know about men and women. It all makes sense. Men listen to women. Women open up. Men penetrate in. Same thing in sex. Man does the things necessary so she can relax, feel safe, feel loved, feel beautiful, feel special. Then estrogen goes way up. Her body opens up for him to come inside. That's the biology of all this. And what he has to do is make her more important than him in that process, which means that he doesn't come before her. Mm-hmm. It's women first, ladies first. And if you have a problem with that, men, what you can do is just give her an orgasm manually before you penetrate her, or penetrate her, then come back out before your orgasm and give her an orgasm through physical stimulation, then come inside of her. So she always makes sure, as assured of having the proper stimulation she needs. And generally, not all women, but most women, it's about 10 times more. It's a lot more that she needs because, and this is only modern women, by the way, indigenous women don't need so much time. Okay, they're very multi-orgasmic because they're in an estrogen lifestyle. See, they're always depending on men for protection, and they're doing what they like to do. They're raising children, they're gardening, they're cleaning, they're cooking, they're sharing, they're talking, they're complaining. They do all this feminine stuff. If you ever lived with women, all that stuff that goes on. That's what they do. That produces all estrogen. And men are out standing guard. Okay, they're not doing much, but they're doing what's dirty or dangerous or difficult. They're doing their male thing, they're doing their female thing. So those women are multi-orgasmic very easily. So, but in the Western world, because women are more on their male side, it takes a lot of stimulation, safety, relaxation, no goal orientation to come back, just relaxing. And this man is just catering to you and doing things that are pleasurable and enjoyable for you and saying loving things to you. I say to men, talk in sex, tell her how beautiful she is, tell her how much you're happy you're married to her. I'm so lucky to have found you. You're the best person. And a man doesn't understand that's romance. He thinks, well, I already told you that when I married you. Why do I have to keep that?
Right. I told you once.
Yeah, I told you once. And a woman should say, if he gives you that argument, you could say, look, we had sex once. Why do we have to do it again? So it's the feeling. It's the feeling. Women enjoy that feeling, and men enjoy being admired by women. What a good idea! Or John's here, or he'll fix it, or just thank you so much. All these positive messages women give just fill their life. Same thing for a woman. Her life is filled by the positive messages he gives her. And so coming back to the theme of this little presentation is why men don't open up, how to get a man to open up. Why men don't open up? They don't need to. Women need to open up. And usually when women are saying, he never opens up, I ask her, well, tell me how that makes you feel. She's not even in touch with her feelings, and get her to go deep into her feelings and open up and share what's going on in her life. I might say to her, oh, well, what's your job? She says, well, I manage a restaurant. And I say, well, is that challenging for you? Well, it's what you have to do. Well, tell me how you feel about managing the restaurant. She says, nothing. Doesn't feel anything. Are you disappointed? You had to fire that person, do the shutdown or whatever? And she goes, well, you have to do what you have to do. That's business. You see, she's pushed out her emotions all day long in the workplace and forgotten them. Well, she can come and share those feelings with her partner. There's so much that women can share, but the things that really produce a lot of estrogen are the things that she feels inside that are that she won't share with anybody else. That makes your relationship special. Just like you don't get naked in front of anybody else. It's like if you're a woman that walks around naked all the time, getting naked with your partner doesn't do anything for you. See, there's the wisdom to covering all the special spots of the body. It's saying, this is just for my partner. So then when it starts to come off in front of your partner, it's very special. It's very vulnerable. It's very, as opposed to, well, I walk around this way all the time. It's nothing. You lose all of the specialness that you are special to me. And that's why I let you go here. And that's important. It's a symbol. How much of your private areas you show has a lot to do with, I only have sex with someone who truly loves me, as opposed to I'm going to have sex because it feels good. Mm-hmm. See, sex can feel good, and now you're just an animal. You're just an animal being stimulated sexually, and it's not for love. But you preserve that. You hold that. This is special. I do just with you. Why? Because the pleasure in sex allows me to feel more, and in feeling more, I can express the love I have for you that I don't have for other people. That's romance. It's special. So giving it words now starts to help make sense of some of the traditions we've had, like modesty, and revealing more to people that you care most with. That's what makes it special. And specialness is what monogamy is. So another thing where people don't understand the value of monogamy is because, well, why have to be monogamous? Because then it makes your sex life not special. It makes you not special. The fact that I only want to be with you means that you're more special than everybody else. But what if the truth is I'm a man, I could be with that person, that would feel good. Yeah, he could do that, but he reserves that energy, the sexual energy, he reserves that just for his partner. That's his gift to her. It's not like that's what you should do. That's what it is what works. Because if you give what you've got to her, she can love you more. She can feel more safe that nobody else is going to take it away. Think of sex energy like money. If I go give my money to a bunch of strangers and there's none left for my wife, that's not good. It doesn't make her feel good at all. So you share your income with each other. And then if there's extra with money, you can give to charities and whatever. But when it comes to sex, you don't give to others. This is a precious, sacred force inside of us, which is the energy, life force energy that can make babies. It can create babies. And if you're not making babies, it can regenerate your soul, can regenerate your love for each other. And that's what we call it, making love. We call it making love because you literally make more love. Because when you make more love, you're very connected, and then life sort of drains it out of you. When life drains it out of you, what happens is you've got to make it back. Because aliveness and potency is like, imagine if you actually measure, if I put my hand on a sick person, I have more vitality than them, they'll take my vitality. You can measure the electrons flowing from me into them because they're deficient. And a lot of other energy you can measure is going into them as well. That's love energy. So if you're out there loving the world, you'll become drained. You need to replenish it. You need to bring it back through your relationship. It's like a generator. It brings your love back high, and then you can freely get to the world appropriately where you come back to your special generator. which brings vitality and connection and love. So those are some thoughts that I think everybody should consider about making love with your partner, the specialness of that. And that happens when women open up as opposed to trying to open him up. And most women know that men do kind of automatically open up when they're aroused. Their whole attitude changes. They become a different person if you're in a loving relationship. So basically, that's how you keep opening up a man as well, is by enjoying having intimacy with him, whether it be emotional intimacy or physical intimacy. Then men open up as they connect with the female who is open.
That was so beautifully said. I loved that. That was really beautiful. And I'm so glad you shared that and added that to the conversation today, because I know it'll be really valuable for a lot of people.